Good afternoon, Toastmasters of District 116. I, Shalini Lal, proudly serving as your District 116 IT Manager and host for the day. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome each one of you to today's empowering session, Pathways Deep Dive and Dimensions of DCP. This session is a step forward in our shared journey of growth, leadership, and excellence. Today, we dive deep into the heart of the Pathways learning experience and unlock the powerful insights behind the Distinguished Club program. The tools that shape not just better clubs, but stronger, more confident individuals. The path to greatness begins. The path to greatness begins with one step. Thank you for taking that step today. District mission. We built new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. And here we have to follow Zoom meeting ground rules. So let me read these ground rules for all of you. Keep your mic off throughout the meeting, and cameras are to be switched off if you are going away from your seat. Speakers and trainers kindly avoid talking about religion, politics, and sex. For a better experience of the Zoom session, I suggest all of you to set the Zoom in the speaker's view. And the recording will be on throughout the training. Reach out to the Zoom host and co-host for any technical support, and you can raise the hand emoji to ask questions during the question and answer session. With this note, I would like to invite our very energetic and beautiful TLI chair, Distinguished Toastmaster Shweta Raghuraman. Shweta Raghuraman is a certified anti-money laundering specialist and currently serves as a consultant for internal audit at Protivity Middle East. A passionate Toastmaster for over 7 years, she is best known for her introspective communication style coupled with a strong track record of leading creative and impactful initiatives across the districts in the Middle East and UK. A distinguished Toastmaster, Shweta currently serves as the District TLI Chair, where she is committed to delivering purpose-driven trainings, expanding access to learning resources, and fostering engaging educational experiences for members. With a loud round of applause, we can welcome distinguished Toastmaster Shweta Raghuraman for the opening remarks. Over to you, Shweta.
Thank you so much, District IT Manager, Toastmaster Shalini Lal, for that very generous introduction. Fellow Toastmasters, leaders from all over the world, greetings for the day. I am Shweta Raghuraman, and I'm truly honored to welcome you all to our very first training session for the District TLI series. Now, if you ask me why I have decided to go for a very generic name, calling it District TLI series, rather than, giving a specific theme like excellent learning, amazing fun series, or any those fancy names, I will tell you why. There are two things. One is I have this fear deep down that I won't be able to deliver whatever I promise. And number two, it might be because I have a feeling that I don't want to give everyone that expectation of expecting certain value driven characteristic training. Instead, I want you all to expand the box and leave it up to yourself. So I'm leaving it you all to decide and to discover within yourself what do you truly want to gain, what valuable insights that you're looking for were to through these training sessions. And that is my goal. That is why I am branding it as a District TLI series, and I will be offering you all sort of purpose-driven, hands-on learning experience throughout the year. But it is up to you, completely up to you to decipher and to learn and to basically discover what type of value you're looking forward to through these trainings. And with this note, I am very much privileged and honored to open the District TLI series for the year 2025-2026. I don't have the gavel, but this is the clap I could give for myself. Thank you so much. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for taking their time off their busy schedules and joining with us on their favorite Friday afternoons to basically learn, grow, and have fun with us. Keeping in the spirit of Ralsei's medley, where we learn in the moments of enjoyment, I would now like to open our first training sessions, which will be based on us deep diving into the Pathways Education Program and exploring different dimensions of our Distinguished Club program. So before I could proceed, it is my utmost privilege and honor to invite over our District Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Alarmaid Mangai. She is a lawyer by profession, passionate about anti-money laundering just like me. But what I know about her, she always strives for excellent quality. She always serves. She's a servant leader who is always out there to deliver and to always be there for the member. So, with our sanitized virtual hands, let us applaud in welcoming our district director to open the training. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, TLI Chair, for organizing such an amazing training in a Friday afternoon where we are all lazy and want to be in our comfort zone, keeping up with the mission of, rather, the theme of the district to ensure that we have that happy learning in place. Can we give a virtual loud possible cheer to our TLI Chair for making it happen? You are free to unmute yourself and cheer her in whatever you all want to. From my side, awesome TLI Chair. Recognizing the past, present, future leaders on screen, off screen, it's absolute honor to be standing here representing this amazing District 116 as your district director. It's once again, let me tender my hearty welcome to all here for this happy learning and achieve excellence together. Let me also share my thoughts about this wonderful process of learning. If you think, why is that, we are on to this happy learning, are we confusing two things poles apart? Well, my dear friends, it's not that way. Let me share one simple example, what made me think so louder. Choosing a right shoe, it's something very easy and trivial. We all think, am I right? We go to a showroom and buy whichever one we like. That's how we choose our shoes. Am I right or wrong? You're, as I said, you're free to unmute yourself and share your inputs. That's how normally the majority does. There may be some minority exceptions out there. I'm not talking about those exceptions. Just like that, I was also one a few years back, not now. Unless and until I discovered from my doctor that one of the main reason I was having all these arthritis, slip disc, etc., of my entire problems in my anatomy goes to this choosing of a right shoe. It was shocking. If that is the impact a choosing of shoe can make, I needless to explain the consequences of not knowing the values or the consequences of not understanding the basics of the shoes we are all going to step in, right? With that thoughts to ponder, there are loads of learning. Happy learning is going to happen as confirmed by our TLI chair. It's now time to get into the serious business with loads of happiness. They will stay in our mind as long as we enjoy the learning. I took the learning in the right spirit and not just whichever showroom I go. I don't want to give advertisement to any particular showroom. Whichever showroom I go, I ensure that I understand the shoe I buy and the role I step in. This shall be my one message for all the wonderful, amazing Toastmasters who have chosen learning instead of rolling onto the bed. Please spread what you have learned and we grow through amazing sharing of experiences, and maintaining the happy momentum. Let me once again, before I hand over, remind you all, happy learning, achieve excellence. Your success is the success of district. Back to you, TLI Chair.
Wow. Now I am more charged by that welcome address given by our district director, DTM Alarmail Mangai. Let's give a resounding virtual round of applause. Through your hands, through your emojis, whatever suits you. So now we shall proceed with our training sessions. So before I could proceed, I would like to introduce you all to a very stalwart volunteer who is very selfless. She's a proud homemaker, but she's a homemaker who's an aspiring leader. And she has volunteered tonight to be the timer for a segment, even though she's staying 1,000 miles away from us in this beautiful country of tea called Sri Lanka. Let's acknowledge the presence of our volunteer, Toastmaster Suganya Karthikon, as our timer for the evening. Thank you, Suganya. Moving on, it is my utmost pleasure to start with our first training segment, where we'll be deep diving into the Pathways Learning Experience, which will be facilitated by none other than distinguished Toastmaster Ian Cortez. Ian is a passionate and accomplished Toastmaster with a track record of leadership and excellence since the year 2017. He's a distinguished Toastmaster who has chartered various clubs and has served active leadership roles. He currently serves as the Public Relations Manager in the District 75 in Philippines and is concurrently the Pathways Manager of District 116 here in Qatar. His contributions have earned him top honors, including the Area Director of the Year, Toastmaster of the Year, and Division Director of the Year. So, with your sanitized hands, let us virtually commend and let's applaud to our trainer, DTM Ian Cortez, to please grace us with your learning spiels. Over to you, Ian.
Thank you very much to our TLI Chair, Distinguished Toastmaster Shweta. Just a quick check. Am I audible, please? Let me know. Brilliant. It's very gloomy and rainy outside my window here in Manila. I'm here for a quick vacation, but I'm very thrilled to be meeting all of you virtually tonight. And let's wait for the slides, but I'd like to pose a question for all of you. Okay, through the chat box, why did you join Toastmasters? Is it to get promoted at work? Is it to improve your communication skills? Please type onto the chat box. Is it to meet your future wife or future husband? Is it to join contests? Please let us know. Let's improve communication. What else? Let's have a quick check at the chat box. Self-growth, articulating your thoughts better, meeting new people, enhancing leadership skills. Thank you, fellow leaders. Please keep those answers coming in because we're recording these responses and maybe look at these as specific data sources. Today, my goal is to deep dive with you in this program that will help you achieve those goals. So whether you want to get promoted at work, whether you want to manage your team or to join contests or to speak better, Pathways would be that program for you. Next slide, please. So for the next 45 minutes or so, this is what we will be trying to achieve. We will understand the structure and the purpose of Pathways. We will understand what are the core competencies in Toastmasters. What are the 5 levels and what do they build on to? Now, a lot of us here have been, Toastmasters for many years, or maybe just 2 years or 1 year. But I hope today's discussion will help us understand why there are 5 levels and why they're important. And more importantly, we will connect Pathways now to the real world applications. Because of course, in Toastmasters, we're not just living in our Toastmasters bubble. You are managers, you are team leaders, you are friends, you are leaders in your organization. So we hope to connect pathways into your real life. And lastly, we want to note steps. So later, I will be asking each one of you to write down on the notes or on the chat box, what are your practical takeaways to help you maximize pathways in your personal or professional lives? Now, give me a thumbs up if you're excited to begin. Yes? Brilliant. Okay, next slide, please. So now, fellow leaders, I would like to start with this slide. Our objective in this training, and I think with the TLI and the leaders in the district, is to help you reach your goals, the goals of our members. Because I often hear people or leaders say, remember the member. And at the core of our Toastmasters experience is our members achieving their goals. Now, this is now a very good question, opportunity to ask. Give me a heart emoji if you have already answered or completed the member survey, the member interest survey. Yes? I think there are already people who have completed it. Okay, I'm seeing only a few hearts. Now I'm heartbroken. So if you haven't seen it yet, please check with your area directors and your leaders because this is very important survey to know, okay, now I'm seeing more hearts. Now I'm happy. I'm a happy kid. So through this survey, we will understand what is it that our members are vying for. Okay, now having set this apart, let's move on to the next slide. So our goal is to help you. And again, in Pathways, we have 6 new or updated paths. Now, before I dive right into this slide, give me or type number 1 on the chat box if you have heard of the Legacy program. Type 1 on the chat box. Okay, I am expecting a couple of ones. Yes, okay. A lot of you have heard about the Competent Communicator, Competent Leader Manual, or the Advanced Communicator, Advanced Leader Manuals, and so on. That means I'm not going to say you're old, but I'm going to say you're seasoned. And just like, well, I also enjoyed the legacy pathways, as we call them, but the board of directors at HQ, okay, they looked at the feedback of the members. And it was found out that members were looking for something more. They also looked at what the industry needs. What are our companies needing or looking for from professionals or even students graduating? That was where Pathways was born because then we are looking now at a new set of competencies. This is where Pathways comes in. Just a trivia, I'm not sure if DTM Shweta has a prize, but can anyone tell me on the chat box what year Pathways was introduced? Come on, don't be shy. And don't cheat, don't use Google. Can anyone guess when was it launched? Because some people will say, oh, Pathways is new. It's actually not so new. Not 2020. 2018, we're getting there. 2017, I think it was. Yes, thank you so much. Now, the idea of Pathways that time was, okay, let's look at the feedback from members. Let's look at what the employers, the greater world out there are looking for in terms of competencies and skills. 11 paths were introduced during that time. But as you will have heard, there was a recent update and now we only have 6 pathways. The others, the other 5, are now part of the Legacy Pathways program, and I will explain that later on. Now, on this slide, you will see, okay, dynamic leadership. This is for the path if you want to build strategic leadership and conflict resolution skills. Here, you are taught the competencies of public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and confidence. Now, that is how it works. Next slide, please. I will go back to this slide, but let's go back to this slide first. In all the pathways, there are 5 levels. Now, can anyone tell me what is at the center of this circle on the image that you see? What's at the circle? What is that word at the center?
Club
Club
meetings.
meetings.
Club meetings, yes. Now, this slide, I quite like this slide because it reminds us that at the core of the Toastmasters Pathways experience are the club meetings. Now, if you look at the next layer of the circle, we have the different competencies. And then if you move on, we have the different levels. So the 5 levels of each pathway corresponds to level 1, you're mastering the fundamentals. It's like as a kid, you're learning how to walk, you're learning how to crawl, you're learning to ride the bike. So here the focus is, how do you break the ice? What are the basic structures of a public speech? What are the real world examples here? Whenever you meet somebody new, what is one of the big questions, or what are examples of questions you ask? Come on, type it onto the chat. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, what are the questions you ask? I'll give you one. What's your name? What else? What do you do? Where do you live? What's your hobby? And these are the information we use in breaking ice. So in level 1, that's what we do. We introduce ourselves. In the workplace, we do first client meeting presentations, right? Now, level 1 is the basic important step 1 that we do before we move to level 2. That is where we learn your style. So here, the focus is really, okay, what's your communication style? Are you a direct communicator? Are you a collaborative leader? And so on. How do you manage time, for example, given the projects that you have at level 2? For example, here, in real life examples, how do you discover how you lead or motivate a team? So if you're managing a team of 5, how do you use your communication styles to adjust or adapt that into managing your 5 members of the team? So that's level 2. In level 3, you're now increasing your knowledge. And here, you're looking at your speech techniques. You're doing more project work. And how does this relate to our real life examples or application? We, for example, are taught how to present data at a meeting. And we always deal with data, whatever your job is, because data could be quantitative data or qualitative data, right? Next, in level 4, and by this time, maybe you're very excited to earn your level completion, right? And maybe soon to be distinguished Toastmaster, maybe completing the other requirements. In level 4 now, you're building your skills. You could say that the projects are more high level because now you're looking at leadership skills, persuasion skills. Here, real world applications would involve how you lead a team, a campaign, and so on. Now, level 5 would be where you demonstrate your expertise. So here, for example, we're now looking at your strategic vision. You're leading a big project, you have a pool of advisors, you got feedback from it, you have your specific metrics. Here, for example, you're running a workshop, a team building, or leading organizational changes. So those are the 5 levels. And my question is, do you think, okay, maybe you will say, DTM Ian, can I do level 2 first before level 1? What is the answer on the chat box? Please type your answer, yes or no. Maybe you're telling me, DTM Ian, I'm so inspired to go into level 5 directly. Okay, oh, there are people saying yes, there are people saying no. I think I will leave the answer later for more suspense. Oh no, I'll give the answer now. The correct answer is technically you can, but my answer is you should reconsider taking it sequentially. Because the way the levels are designed, remember, is that it's designed sequentially. You do level 1 first, and then level 2, and then level 3. Pathways LMS Online will allow you to complete different levels, but it will not allow you to submit level completions and submit as an award. So really, fellow Toastmasters, why do it if there's no benefit in that way? You will make your VP Education and your club president unhappy. So take it sequentially, is my answer. And I'm seeing a thumbs up from our district director. So I hope that's clear. Yeah, please give me a thumbs up if that's clear. The other question I often hear is, DTM Ian, can I enroll myself in multiple paths? Because, well, I have plenty of time in the world and I do not sleep. Why not? By all means, you could enroll yourself in 2 paths. Obviously, if you're a new member, the first path is free. The second path you'll have to pay for. Again, one of the benefits of Pathways is that it's a self-paced program. So if you can manage your time wisely, then that is okay. If you will ask me, however, I have always taken it sequentially, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, finish one path, and then move on to the next. So that is my personal preference, so that I can really enjoy and savor the experience. Because maybe I'm already at level 4 in one path, and then suddenly I'm level 1 in another path. So for me, that's kind of confusing, and it kind of breaks plus I'm obsessive compulsive in a way of speaking. So that's one tip for the others out there. Let's move on to the next slide now. We've talked about the 6 pathways, the different 5 levels. Now I'd like to spend a bit of time understanding these 5 core competencies. So the 6 paths, okay, all of them are mapped against these core competencies. So whether you're taking presentation mastery or visionary communication, there are competencies that are matched against this. So the first one is public speaking. All paths would have public speaking, obviously, because this is Toastmasters. And number 2 is interpersonal communication. So here you have obviously projects like connect with your audience, you're trained how to provide feedback, apply feedback. So then you're improving your competency in interpersonal communication. 3, strategic leadership. So this is about managing your team, setting your vision for them. And oftentimes this is for levels 4 and 5. Okay, so fellow leaders, if you could please mute yourself. Otherwise, he will take on the slides, no? And I'll stop discussing. I'm joking. Now, so that's level 3, strategic leadership. Level 4 now, or the 4th competency, is management. So here, for example, you're looking at managing projects or even conflict resolution. So how do you resolve conflict? What are the techniques there? We learn those competencies here in Pathways. Lastly would be confidence. So every single project, we can say, we are being taught confidence, from icebreaker to our final speeches. So it's just very important to map that here as well. So we have 5 levels in every pathway taken sequentially, hopefully. And then we have 5 core competencies that are all mapped against the different pathways. Are you with me so far? Yes? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. No one's having dinner or having tea yet outside. Okay, great. Next slide, please. So now we will be talking about the different pathways. Okay, so there's just some latency. If we move to the next slide, please, Madam Zoom Master. Let's start with dynamic leadership. I think there's something wrong with the sharing of the slides. May I check if we can try to reshare? Because I think the format was a bit...
Yes, yun ang dapat
Yeah, yes, Ian, what it is?
Okay, I think the format was just a bit juggled.
Okay. Let me try to edit. This is okay?
No, it's okay. Toastmaster Shalini. Okay, maybe I can just try to share screen so that we could see the slides and...
Yeah, you can share. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, let me just
Yeah.
share it from my side. Let me know if you can see it, fellow leaders, yeah?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, fantastic. So now, fellow leaders, what we will be doing is looking at each path and discussing, okay, what are the competencies that are mapped against each path? And then, what are, again, the 5 levels or the projects that you need to do? Now, can anyone tell me on the chat box? Now, I can see the chat box, but maybe DTM Shweta could check who is the first person who got the correct answer. How many speeches are there in every pathway? I will hide my current slide. Can anyone chat on the chat box, DTM Shweta? And please let me know if you already have the correct answer.
Yes, I'm getting a lot of answers now. Do you want the highest number or you want the first response?
The first response.
Okay, the first response from Pramod Chetty, he's saying 4.
4. Okay. So, right. Thank you for engaging, everyone. The correct answer is 15. 14, 15. Okay. Now, let's start with dynamic leadership. And again, you will see we have 5 levels: mastering fundamentals, learning your style, increasing knowledge, building skills, and demonstrating expertise. Level 1, okay, you will deliver your icebreaker. You will write a speech with purpose. You will have a project using vocal variety and body language. You will learn how to give feedback and receive feedback. That is mastering fundamentals. Now, in level 2, okay, when you begin to learn your style, just like what I've mentioned earlier, you will now try to understand your own leadership style, your own communication style, and how we do Toastmasters mentoring, because again, that's very important. So moving on now to the third level, which is increasing knowledge. So here, your first project would be negotiating the first outcome. Okay. And again, in dynamic leadership, this is important because here we're the main skills that are being built are public speaking, interpersonal communication, and management. And often in management, there are opportunities where we need to negotiate, right? So that's why in level 3, you have that already. If you look at the bottom side of the slide, the additional skills that are built here are strategic leadership and conflict resolution. So if you look at the core competencies, we have almost all of the 5 mapped here: public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and confidence. Now, if you look at this box in level 3, after you complete the first project, you will need to complete 2 electives, and you can choose from a long list. Is it to deliver a social speech, focusing on the positive, connecting with storytelling, preparing for interview, and so on? Now, I remember when I took my first pathway, I'm now on my 5th pathway, and the first path that I took was actually dynamic leadership, because from my perspective, wow, I was just a new people manager then. I was already managing different managers. So I wanted to be really a dynamic leader. And let me tell you, this is one of my most favorite paths. So it's up to you to choose the different electives, but my tip is choose the electives that, okay, somebody wants to discuss on my behalf. So fellow leaders, please mute yourself. And yes, okay, thank you so much. It's up to you really to choose the different electives, but I hope you align it with your goal. So if you are managing a team or managing a complex project, align different electives with what can benefit you professionally as well. Okay, so now let's move on. From this list of electives, you will only choose 2 electives. Now, in level 4 now, you're building your skills, right? You have one core project, which is managing change. How do we deal with change? Are there techniques that we can use? You will now share a time when you manage change here. And then you will choose one elective. And let me tell you, if you look at level 4 electives, they look really exciting. An example would be creating a podcast, building a social media presence. So again, right, if you're choosing your elective, why not take something that would also benefit you professionally? So something that could give you extra brownie points at work. So maybe you would want to create a podcast, or maybe manage an online meeting, or for example, have public relations strategies that could help you in your networking skills and so on and so forth. So finally, in level 5, we have demonstrating expertise. So here, you're expected now to lead in any situation, So this is a very reflective and insightful project. And then you reflect on your path. Looking back at how you've completed levels 1, 2, 3, 4, how the journey has been so far, how it's changed you from where you started and where you are now at that point. And then you will only choose one elective. So here, one of the popular topics or elective would be prepared to speak professionally, which is an amazing experience for you to be like a professional speaker, offering a longer speech, I think 18 to 20 minutes, right? You could also have an HPL project or high performance leadership that, again, you could use to anchor in your personal or professional goals to help you advance as well, not just within your Toastmasters Club goals. Okay? So just a quick check on the audience. Who are completing the dynamic leadership pathway? Could you please type yes on the chat box? Yes, if you're completing the dynamic leadership pathway. Let's see. Okay, we have a lot. Oh, somebody's even done. Fantastic. Thank you, Dita Ambuja. Yes, a lot of us have completed that. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I think we can move on to the next path, which is engaging humor. Now, in engaging humor, what are the main skills that are built? It's mainly public speaking. Additional skills built would be speech writing, and I'll explain that later. Now, in terms of competencies, you increase your confidence, and of course, you get to practice your public speaking skills. So if you look at the 5 levels, level 1 is very self-explanatory because it's the same, right? We look at mastering fundamentals, you deliver your icebreaker, you write a speech with purpose, you introduce vocal variety and body language, evaluation, and feedback. Now, I remember, I'm not sure if you have distinguished Toastmaster Grace in the call, but she was saying she's already finished all of the paths except engaging humor. And she kept on telling us she doesn't have a funny bone in her body. But in fact, whenever she says some things, sometimes they're actually very funny. So we were challenging her, because I'm the VP education in our advanced club, to take the engaging humor path. Because you'll never know, fellow Toastmasters, that you may consider yourself very serious, but in fact, you could be funny or engaging sometimes in ways that you don't imagine. So try to consider this path as well. In fact, this is my next path because I've finished all 5. So level 2 now is where you try to know your sense of humor. Obviously, this is very important because there are different styles, and some styles might not suit you in your personality and so on. Next, you connect with your audience. Now, if you look at comedians, they do this very well, or even effective speakers, right? Being able to effectively connect with the audience is very paramount. Okay, and then of course the third one, which is quite a staple, is again introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. So that's level 2 done. Then you move on to level 3, engaging your audience with humor. So again, looking at your own style in level 2, you now apply that in level 3 when you engage your audience through humor. After that, you have 2 electives, so you can choose. A lot of people doing the engaging humor would use connect with storytelling as an elective because it makes a natural fit. Also, what is another popular item here? Maybe understanding vocal variety, because then as a humorous speaker, of course, vocal variety should be part of your repertoire in terms of, using your pitch, your pacing, and so on. And maybe as well, maybe what else is a popular choice here? Active listening, okay, is a good practice as well. Because if you're managing a table topic segment, you practice transitions. You practice listening actively to the speakers and try to connect that with a cohesive table topic session. So that's also a good elective you could engage in. After that, level 3 done, you move on to level 4, which is again building skills. So here, again, you will see how it builds sequentially. So you've learned your style in level 2, you've used that, you've applied that in level 3. Now in level 4, you will use your humor in impromptu speeches. So this is somewhat different than your table topic speech because here there's a specific project where you will be thrown different topics and then speak about that coming from the audience or from your mentor, for example, to challenge you and speak at level 4, project 1. After that, you choose one elective. And again, you can choose, and I hope you will choose something that aligns with your personal or professional goals. So again, for example, it would be a challenge how you use humor in managing a difficult audience, right? Because sometimes if there are hecklers or if there are people chatterers in your presentation, there are actually clever ways to engage that through humor, right? So you could also try that. You could have, say, building a social media presence. If you want your personal branding to be engaging, humorous, why not try that as well? So you will only choose one elective in this level 4 project for engaging humor. And then the last level here again is where you demonstrate expertise, you deliver a speech with humor, and just like the other paths, you reflect on the journey so far. You reflect on the things you've learned from level 1 to where you are at that point, and then you will choose one elective. So maybe you could use lessons learned, or maybe something around high performance leadership. Do you want to organize a stand-up comedy kind of event or an improv event? And that could be your HPL, right? So you could be very creative about how we do this. Now let's have a quick feel on the chat box. Could you type H if you're enrolled or want to enroll in the engaging humor pathway? Could you type H on the chat box? Okay. DTM Shueta, I think, would make a really good humorous speaker. I think I've told you this many times. Okay, we have quite a lot. And I will join you, ladies and gentlemen, in my next path as I try to complete this. Now, let's move on to the third path, which is, and I think we're quite good with time. If we finish earlier, then we can have time for questions, right? Let's move to the next slide. Oh, I forgot I'm the one sharing. We have the motivational strategies. Now, you can take this if you want to improve your public speaking skills, if you want to improve your interpersonal communication skills and management skills. Okay. Now, what are the additional skills built? How to be a motivational leader. A lot of HR professionals actually take this, no? How to be motivational in your communication skills, especially if you're known to be a very serious, direct communicator. Challenge yourself by enrolling in this path to become a more motivational, more inspiring speaker. So again, if we look at the core competencies, how they are mapped: public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and your confidence as well. So level 1 is self-explanatory. We know this. This is staple across different paths. Then you move on to level 2, learning your style. So here, because you're enrolled as a motivational speaker in the motivational strategies pathway, it's imperative that you understand, how do I communicate as a person? How do I communicate as a leader? Then you will need to be a table topics master, because active listening is important here. Because of course, how will you motivate other people if you don't really listen, right? If you don't really try to understand what they're talking about. And then lastly, we have the introduction to Toastmasters mentoring as a staple project for level 2. So after that, we move on to level 3. Here, and again, this is the path that I've just finished, motivational strategies. I love this project because here, understanding emotional intelligence. May I check with the group? Could you please type on the chat G, the letter G, if you have already done the understanding emotional intelligence project? Come on, let's see. Okay, we have a lot of people now who have done this. In understanding emotional intelligence, what I've done was to actually use ChatGPT. I would talk to ChatGPT for 3 weeks every time I'm in my Uber going to the office. It's like my ChatGPT diary. I was talking to ChatGPT, and then I've asked ChatGPT to analyze my responses over the 3 weeks. And I reflected on those headlines and I delivered a speech about that. So that was very transformative for me, ladies and gentlemen, because I picked up a lot of common elements and new insights with how am I as a person, as a friend, as a leader. So I hope you will enjoy this when you reach level 3. After that, you will choose 2 electives. So what are the electives here? In my case, I used inspire your audience and researching and presenting. So again, you could choose from this long list of electives and you need to choose 2. After that, we move on to level 4 and you then deliver your motivating others project and you choose 1 elective. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I hope you would choose an elective that's really aligned with your personal or professional goals. So in my case, for example, what I did was one on managing online meetings, because really I do a lot of online meetings at work, in Toastmasters, in District 75, in District 116, and of course at work as well, especially across the globe. So I receive very valuable feedback, especially when I chair these meetings, right? Because the real world application could be that, okay, how do you as a motivational leader position yourself in a meeting to allow open feedback and dialogue from your colleagues or people in that online meeting, right? Then finally, in level 5, where we demonstrate expertise, is you lead a team building activity. And again, I did this. I led a team building activity for people at work or the clients that we work with. And then you reflect on your path and then you choose 1 elective. Okay. In my case, I chose to speak professionally. Okay. So just a quick check. Can you type M on the chat box if you're done with motivational strategies or are interested in motivational strategies? Come on, let's see how this path is popular or not. Okay, someone's interested. Thank you. And okay, we have a lot who have done it or are considering it. Now let's move on to the next path. I think this is the second to the last slide on the, no, we're halfway. Persuasive influence. So persuasive influence, what are the main skills that are built here? Public speaking, okay? How you deal with others, interpersonal communication and management. Additional skills built, how you lead in complex situations, okay? And then in terms of core competencies, we have public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and of course, confidence. Now, level 1, we know that. Now we look at level 2, you understand your communication style because of course you'll be persuading others, right? So it's also very important to understand how you communicate, what's your style. And then active listening. So same thing with the previous path, right? You need to, in order for you to persuade other people, you also try to practice your active listening, understanding the point or the message of other people, other speakers, so that you're able to connect with them and sell the idea or project to them. And then lastly, for level 2 is introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. Next, you move on to level 3, increasing knowledge. Now, whenever we try to grow as a persuasive leader or communicator or speaker, conflict is often there. And in many ways, we know this for people that are managing teams, right? The job is often always easy. It's managing people that's the challenging aspect. It's managing people's dramas, not dramas, emotions, or even conflict, because this is often there, right? So here we talk about techniques, how conflicts come, and what are the techniques we do to allay or mitigate them or deal with them. After that, you choose 2 electives. So again, you could choose from this long list, and I hope you will choose something that aligns, again, with your personal or professional goal. Next, in level 4 would be, okay, as you build your skills, you will be leading in difficult situations. So you will see now that in terms of the levels, it's increasing in complexity. And then you choose 1 elective from these. And then lastly, you're required to do an HPL or a high performance leadership project that, again, I hope you could leverage. So one of the projects that I've seen for the persuasive influence pathway was soon to be distinguished Toastmaster who developed an HPL through developing kind of a series of leadership workshops for district leaders. So she wasn't part of the TLI team, but talking about skills, empowering other leaders as part of her high performance leadership skills. So she's an HR professional, but dealing with different projects. So she kind of did that as an example here, as for high performance leadership. After that, you reflect on your path, and then again, you choose one elective. So maybe you could do a lessons learned kind of approach where, you reflect on the lessons from levels 1 to 5 and so on. Okay. Now, just a quick check again on the chat box. I'm trying to speed up now. I think I've underestimated the time. Can you type P if you're taking the persuasive influence path currently? Can we have a look? Okay, a lot of growing number of P's done. Great. I was also asked this question at some point. DTM Ian, because now we only have 6 paths, can we repeat paths? The answer is yes, you can. But I hope before you do that, obviously you've already completed all your paths. And when you do repeat, for example, one pathway, it will still be reflected in your records on pathways, on your member record in terms of educational achievements. Okay, but again, I hope even before you do that, challenge yourself by completing all the different paths. Now, this is the second to the last path, which is presentation mastery. I think we have 7 minutes. So here, the main skills that are built are public speaking, okay, and confidence as well. So a lot of people working in tech industry or those that do a lot of pitches and presentations, this is a big favorite because obviously when you begin to improve on this skill, it will really help you heaps and bounds. Level 1, we know that. In level 2, we understand our communication style, we use our body language effectively, and then we understand Toastmasters mentoring. Okay. And then in level 3, we have a project on persuasive speaking because really in presentations, it's also about selling. It's also about persuading our audience. And then you choose 2 electives. And then you move on to level 4. Okay, so this is one of my favorite projects, managing a difficult audience, where we simulate you presenting, and there are different roles. So somebody is using his or her phones, chatting away, asking irrelevant questions. There's a heckler and so on. So how do you manage that? And then after that, you will need to do one elective, and then you move on to level 5. So here, what's really amazing is that, and this is also one of my favorite paths, you will need to speak as a keynote speaker, or you will need to speak for 18 to 20 minutes and speak professionally. So here you'll be able to apply, okay, your skills as a communicator, as a persuasive speaker, how you deal with a big crowd or sometimes even difficult audience. Okay, you reflect on your path and then you finish one elective. Some people, what they do here is they moderate a panel discussion. Because again, it's quite clearly linked to the path and to a lot of professional goals of our members. Okay. Now, just a quick check on the chat box. Could you type PM if you're enrolled or have done presentation mastery? Let's see. I reckon a lot of us have done PM. Okay, PM done. DTM Shweta, I think you've finished all 11, haven't you? Okay, a lot of PM completers. Well done. Well done, colleagues. Now, let's move on finally to one of my favorite paths as well, which is visionary communication. So here, you practice public speaking, interpersonal communication, and management skills, even innovative communication and leadership. Because oftentimes, right, especially if you're managing big teams or you want to get promoted, you will really need to practice the skills of a leader, thinking of a vision, communicating that to your team, and getting their buy-in. How do we do that? What are the techniques? We do that here. So what are the core competencies mapped here? Public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and confidence. I think there are a couple of friends not muted. So if you could, please, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so level 1, we know that. In level 2, you will need to understand your leadership and your communication styles, and then your introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. Next, in level 3 now, this is important. How do you now develop a communication plan? So if you have an idea, you have a project, you're selling a business idea, or you're trying to sell a new innovative way of doing things in your office, how do you communicate that? What are the tools and techniques? We do that in level 3, project 1. After that, you choose 2 electives, okay? And then, in my case, I also did inspiring your audience and researching and presenting, because I practiced again, in order for me to build my case, I needed to have all the data in place to support them. And then I will need to practice inspiring the audience, my team, so that they would understand the vision, right? In level 4, project 1, you communicate a change. What are the techniques there? How do you deal with change? And then you choose 1 elective. And then in level 5, you develop your vision, you communicate that vision to your team, okay? And I think you'll be able to share outcomes of maybe a project you've led, no, at work or even professionally. So that's level 5, project 1. You reflect on your path and then you choose 1 elective. Now, this is the final path, and as requested by our TLI chair, we've now done some sort of a review of the different levels, the different projects, and the skills that you build in each path. So I hope you now have a bigger and deeper understanding of that. Now, I think at this point, we will now be moving on to, okay, the last check. Could you type V on the chat box if you are done or are taking visionary communication? I think we should see a lot of V's on the chat, definitely. Yes, started. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for engaging a lot, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Now, I have 2 minutes and I have 2 final slides. Here, I will be highlighting how do we maximize pathways. I've made this point again and again for 40 minutes now. Align the paths with your career. And ladies and gentlemen, when I look back now, across my 8 years as a Toastmaster, I've finished CL, I've finished CC, and 6 paths now, turning 6, I've realized that every time I finished a path, I somehow got promoted or moved on to a more exciting role. So I don't know if it was by chance, but what I did consistently was really always align something, my pathways projects as a Toastmaster, with what I do at work. So I hope we will also try to consider that. So then what's happening is that I'm turning work presentations, I'm hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. I turn them into pathways projects because then I'm learning the stuff that I can apply at work. I'm adding value to my work, but also adding to the speeches completion in the club. You leverage mentors for feedback and support. You have mentors in your clubs. You have club coaches. If you are a struggling club, you have a club coach assigned to you. You can tap your ADs, your division directors. So we have mentors, or even, I always volunteer myself. If you want me to visit your club, deliver a session or 2, and mentor one of your members, you could let me know, please, because there are a lot of people here that are willing to help and share their insights, their resources, and their time. So leverage that. We track your progress and add achievements to your resume. Add it on your LinkedIn. And did you know that whenever you finish a path, you get a badge or even a level, you get a badge on Pathways that you could share to LinkedIn. So I hope you're also leveraging that. Please do that and tag me as your Pathways share, and even District 116. That would be amazing news so that other people would know, oh, wow, DTM Mangay finished the whole path of engaging humor. Wow, what does that mean? So then people would ask and know, right? So simple marketing as well. And then you finish one path and you start another that's aligned to your next career goal. Now, this is my final slide to just finally sell why Pathways and why it really should benefit us. According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, 70%, even with AI, of the jobs would require some form of verbal communication. So 70%, I don't know about you if this is big, but this is really big on my book. So important thing here, Pathways would help us here. Number 2, leadership. According to the LinkedIn 2024 Global Trends report, 77% of the companies they surveyed say that soft skills are just as important as hard skills. So even if you're a very good lawyer, a very good accountant, if you're not a good communicator, then there will be others who will be able to outshine or be ahead of you in the curve. Okay. And again, Pathways helps here. Project management, employers will need 87.7 million individuals in project management oriented roles by 2027. And this is according to the Project Management Institute. So it's now 2025. You still have 2 years to finish the paths. And one exciting news is that Pathways, what's coming up next is what we call Pathways Explorations. So they are not paths, they are smaller or fewer projects you can complete to really improve in your journey as a leader and communicator, right? So again, Pathways helps us here in project management. And if we do it, we're making ourselves more competitive and more ahead of the curve in the job market. And lastly, global perspective. A lot of us are expats here. In fact, all of us are expats in Doha. For international professionals, Pathways builds communication agility, cultural sensitivity, and team collaboration. So we've now reached the end of my slides. I will stop sharing now so I can see the lovely gallery because the timer might be mad at me now. But thank you very much, everyone. Please give yourselves a round of applause for engaging and connecting with the presentation. I hope you learned a thing or two. Distinguished Toastmaster Shweta, do we have time for questions or shall we end here?
Yes, we can take on the questions. Actually, we'll be going on a break, but we will be taking on 5 minutes. We will take 5 minutes for the Q&A. So please feel free to ask question to Ian. The floor is
I
open.
have a question. Is it okay?
Sure, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I've seen the levels. I just joined Toastmaster recently. I'm more interested in the visionary presentation that you said. I know it is at level 3 or no, a long way to go ahead. Is there a way to skip and fast forward?
So, Sivanesan, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for that really good question. The answer is you can, but for you to maximize the journey, you're a new Toastmaster, start with level 1 first. Because the way the levels are designed, and I love this metaphor, in level 1, you're like a baby trying to crawl, you're trying to ride a bike. And now you're a baby and you already want to ride the bike and maybe join F1. So that's the metaphor there. So if you do level 1, you're mastering the fundamentals, and then level 2 and so on. So it's really meant and designed to be sequential. And yeah, that's my answer. So the answer is you can, but I hope you will not, because for you to maximize the Pathways experience, it has to be taken sequentially. And even if you start with level 3, you cannot record it on system yet and be awarded a level 3 because you cannot be VC3 if you are not VC1 and VC2. Because every time you finish a level, for example, Ian Cortez, I'm done with level 1, I become Ian Cortez VC1. If I finish level 2, I become Ian Cortez VC2. You cannot be Sivanesan VC3 because the system will look for your level 1 and level 2 completions anyway. So that is a long answer to a short question, but I hope you got the point. Any other questions, please? Thank you, Sivanesan, for the question.
Hello. Hi,
Yes,
and
Prasad.
okay. I just have a question, but I'm not really sure if goes a long way logically correct or not. But still, anyhow, I ask it. Based upon your experience, I feel like you've been as a Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster for the last 8 years through the Toastmasters journey. What is the shortest time or the quickest time a person has taken to complete all the levels?
So in my experience, Toastmaster Prasad, thank you. I can sense from that question yet you're very driven and competitive. I love that. I would love to be the VP Education where you are. So my
Right.
personal experience, the fastest is 6 to 8 months. Why? Because technically, if you're doing a high performance leadership, you would need a long time to really do it. Some people have finished in 5, so that's also good. Now, I think what I want to highlight here is when HQ introduced
Office.
Pathways, it was mentioned that it's a self-paced program. So your speed will really depend on how fast you do your speeches. So that's my answer. The time would vary depending on the time you have and the type of projects you do. Some projects would require you to lead on projects or events, and in which case it might take more time. But I think distinguished Toastmaster Mangay has a point to add. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jan. That was, awesome presentation. Just adding on to, yeah, you are talking about completing of 2 parts, but his question on to completion of DTM that requires 2 important leadership roles as well, right? That is one completion of club officer's role for 12 months and the district leadership role of the club coach. So altogether, fairly to do your distinguished Toastmasters as per the guidelines, minimum period of 2 years is required.
Thank you, Didi Mangay. So yes, Prasad, I was talking about completing 1 path, yeah? But to be a distinguished Toastmaster takes time, not 6 months, okay? Even if you have magic powers. Any,
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, then
any
thank you. Thank
other
you so much.
questions? Thank you, Prasad. I think we have time for one last question, DTM Shweta, or we can...
Hi.
Yes, Suganya, how are we doing with the time?
We have 30 seconds.
Oh, okay, fast.
So I'll
Okay,
be really
Vin,
quick,
yes.
Ian. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very informative. My question is there a preferred or a suggested order by TMI to pick a pathway which can provide best results, or is it just based on your personal goals?
Thank you, Toastmaster Vin. So if you are a new Toastmaster, you take an online assessment where you are asked a couple of questions. Now, depending on your answers to the questions, because it asks for your goals or priorities, it suggests pathways for you. Now, those are just suggestions. It is up to you to choose any of the suggested paths or choose any of the 6, because again, it's a self-paced program depending on your goals, personal or professional goals. So it's really up to you how pathways will help you in your job, in your career, and so on. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vin. And I think that's all the time we have. Well, I am your Pathways Manager, fellow leader. So if you do have questions, please do just reach out or to our hardworking TLI Chair, Distinguished Toastmaster Shweta, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much and good evening.
Thank you so much, DTM Ian, for that very deeply insightful presentation on pathways, because I felt like I was just drowned in a swimming pool filled with a lot of learnings, knowledge, and the experience that you brought about through these training sessions. So let's just give him a virtual round of applause for such an insightful and a very purposefully driven session. Thank you, DTM Ian. So with this now, we have come to the end of the first segment of our training session. I would like to confirm with DTM Manga if we could go for a short break before we could resume the next session. Or do you want to proceed with the...
Let's go with the agenda. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yes. So
Being Friday, we need that stretch break.
yes, yeah, okay. So we'll be proceeding with a stretch break of 5 minutes and we will resume by 3:45 sharp. See you guys later. Meanwhile, please feel free to use this platform to socialize or ask Ian for any questions. Thank you so much.